Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we re-diving into a topic that's been buzzing in Indonesia for years, the redenomination of the rupiah. What does that even mean? Essentially, it's like giving the currency a makeover by chopping off a few zeros. So, your 100,000 rupiah note could become a 100 rupiah note. The value stays the same, but the number of zeros changes. It sounds simple, but the implications are huge. Why is the Indonesian government considering this? And what are the potential pros and cons? Let's break it down. First, let's talk about the why. Why go through all this trouble? The main driver is simplification and efficiency. Have you ever tried paying for something expensive in Indonesia? You end up with stacks and stacks of cash. It's cumbersome. Redenomination would make transactions much smoother. Another big reason is psychological. Having a currency with so many zeros can sometimes create a perception of being weaker or less valuable on the international stage. Even if that's not technically true, stronger-looking currency, like changing 14,000 rupiah to the dollar to just 14 rupiah to the dollar, can boost national pride and confidence. Proponents argue that this could increase trust in the rupiah, both domestically and internationally. It's about prestige. It signals that the economy is stable and has moved past the hyperinflation era of the late 90s that originally led to all these zeros. It's a symbolic fresh start, a way of saying, hey, our economy is strong and under control. So, simpler transactions and a psychological boost. Sounds great, right? Well, let's pump the brakes and look at the other side of the coin. What are the potential downsides? The biggest concern by far is the risk of public confusion leading to inflation. During the transition period, people might get confused by the new and old prices. A shopkeeper might round up prices. For example, an item that costs 12,500 rupiah should become 12.5 rupiah. But what if sellers just rounded up to 13 or even 15 rupiah? This phenomenon is called rounding inflation. If this happens on a mass scale, it could cause a general rise in prices, hurting the purchasing power of ordinary citizens, especially the most vulnerable. This leads to the second major challenge, the massive cost and logistical nightmare of implementation. Think about it. Every single coin and banknote in circulation would need to be replaced. That's billions of pieces of currency. ATM machines would need to be recalibrated. Vending machines, parking meters, cash registers, all of it needs updating. Financial systems and software need to be completely overhauled to handle the new denomination. This isn't just a switch you flip overnight. It's a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar project. And who pays for that? The taxpayers, of course. Furthermore, a massive public education campaign would be essential to minimize the confusion we just talked about. The government would need to reach every corner of the vast Indonesian archipelago, from the bustling cities of Java to the remote villages in Papua. They'd need to explain what redenomination is, how it works, and assure people that the value of their savings is not disappearing. If this campaign isn't effective, it could lead to panic, with people rushing to exchange their old money or making poor financial decisions out of fear. The success of the entire project hinges on public understanding and trust. So has any other country done this successfully? Absolutely. Turkey is a great example. In 2005, they successfully redenominated their lira, lopping off 6 zeros. They managed it with a strong public awareness campaign and a stable economic backdrop. Poland and Romania also had successful redenominations. However, there are also cautionary tales. Countries like Zimbabwe tried it amidst economic chaos and hyperinflation, and it was a complete failure because the underlying economic problems weren't fixed first. Redenomination is like putting a fresh coat of paint on a house. It looks great, but if the foundation is crumbling, the paint won't fix the problem. This brings us to the crucial point. Timing is everything. For redenomination to succeed, it needs to be done from a position of economic strength. That means low and stable inflation, a steady economic growth rate, and a stable political environment. The Indonesian government has been considering this for over a decade, but they've always waited for the perfect moment. Global economic shocks like the 2008 financial crisis or the recent pandemic have repeatedly pushed the plan back. They know that launching this during a period of uncertainty would be incredibly risky. So, what does this mean for the average person in Indonesia? If it happens, During the transition period, both the old and new rupiah would circulate side by side. All prices would have to be displayed in both formats, for example. Rp 100,000 per new Rp 100. This dual pricing is critical for helping people adjust and preventing unfair price hikes. Your bank savings of 100 million rupiah would automatically become 100,000 new rupiah. The actual value of your money doesn't change, only the numbers on the screen and the bills in your wallet. The key is to stay informed. Don't panic and be vigilant about prices to make sure you're not being overcharged. In conclusion, the redenomination of the Indonesian rupiah is a classic high-risk, high-reward scenario. The potential benefits are significant: a more efficient, practical, and prestigious currency that could simplify daily life and boost national confidence. However, the risks are equally daunting. The potential for inflation due to confusion and rounding, the enormous logistical costs, and the absolute necessity for a flawless public education campaign make it a monumental undertaking. Success depends entirely on stable economic conditions and meticulous execution. It's a fascinating economic maneuver, and whether and when Indonesia decides to finally pull the trigger will be a major event to watch. What are your thoughts on this? You think the benefits outweigh the risks? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you found this video interesting and learned something new, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into fascinating topics like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.